Hi students, welcome to the third session of our chemical bonding lesson in our physical science. So already we were talking about what is a bond and how that exists. We are talking about that. See, whenever we take one element from that 118 elements what we have, that one element has the ability to have a bond between the remaining some elements from the remaining 117 elements, some elements of that remaining 118 17 elements. That is what we are talking about. And what making that element to have a bond with certain elements from the remaining 117 elements, and what making this element to not to have a bond by the remaining 117 elements. That is what we are going to discuss today. And in order to explain about the formation of bond between certain elements, a group of or two or more elements, so many scientists were working to explain, or they were attempted to explain what is the proper reason to have the existence of bond between the two atoms or two or more atoms to form a molecule or a compound. But among those so many attempts to explain, there were three successful models or three successful theories which we are going to consider. That is electronic theory of valency, which is being proposed by the Lewis and Kossel. In short, to remember this, we talk about ETV. Okay. ETV, that is electronic theory of valency. The first theory is electronic theory of valency, which is being proposed by the Lewis and Kossel. And the next one is valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Valence shell electron pair repulsion theory, that is we call as Vespert VSEPRT. And next we will talk about valency bond theory, VBT, valency bond theory. These are the three theories which are going to help us to understand the existence of bond, or what is the proper reason to have a bond between two or more atoms, and what is the proper reason to not to have a bond between certain atoms of certain elements. This is what is the agenda of this today's class. So when we enter to the topic, that is electronic theory of valency, which is being proposed by Lewis and Kossel. Actually, they individually proposed this theory. They have proposed this theory individually in 1916. They proposed this theory in 1916. The main concept of explanation of this theory is based on the valence electrons. They were studying about, or they proposed the concept of this theory based on the valence electrons. Okay, and to have the explanation about this theory based on the valence electron, they were observing the configuration of noble gases. They proposed this theory based on valence electrons, based on the configuration of noble gases. Okay, what is that we are going to talk about? Now, what is the configuration of the noble gases? Except helium. Suppose helium, the atomic number 2, that is electron configuration. If I write the atomic configuration of the helium, that is 2, or that is 1s2. According to the Schrödinger model, it is 1s2. According to the Bohr atomic structure, that is in K shell have 2 electrons. That is, as the K shell has the ability to handle 2 electrons. Okay, that is helium configuration, that is 2 positive, and K shell has 2 electrons. This is outermost. This is the atom. K shell has 2 electrons. That means the ability of accommodating by one shell, that is K shell, the two electrons already filled in the helium, so it is chemically inactive. Okay. For example, if I talk about neon, that is 10, atomic number 10, that is 2, 8 or 2, 8, atomic number 2, 8, or according to the Schrödinger model, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. In the second, the outermost shell is 2, and the number of electrons present in the outermost shell are 8. Okay, that means if I write it in the diagrammatical format, the nucleus consists of 10 protons. In K shell, I have 2 electrons. In L shell, the second shell, I have 8 electrons. that means the configuration of the noble gas, okay, whereas neon, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, these all are the noble gases where the outermost shell electron configuration of this noble gases is possessing 8 electrons in that valence shell or outermost shell. Valence shell is nothing but outermost shell. If the number of electrons in the outermost shell are 8, okay, Lewis and Cosell observed that they are chemically inactive. Okay, they are chemically inactive apart from this helium. Even though the number of electrons in the outermost shell are 2 electrons, as the K shell has the ability of filling the 2 electrons, as it fulfills that one shell, as it is fulfilled, neither there is no chance for this helium to accommodate a few more electrons in the K shell, because it is fulfilled. K shell has the ability of filling only 2 electrons. So this helium also is considered as noble gas, even though it doesn't have the 8 electrons in the outermost shell. Except the helium, remaining all noble gases consist of 8 electrons in the outermost shell. Okay. Suppose if I take about argon, if I write argon, that is 18. Argon 18, that is 2, 8, 8. So outermost shell is 2, 8, 8. The outermost shell electrons are 8 again. This is also noble gas. And based observing the electron configuration of the noble gases, Lewis and Cosell came to a conclusion that the elements which have 8 electrons in the outermost shell, okay, that is nothing but the elements which possess octet. 8 electrons is nothing but that is octet. Octet in the outermost shell, they are chemically inactive. Okay, their observation that to provide the logical explanation about the formation of bond, they studied the configuration of the noble gases and they observed that the noble gases contains 8 electrons in the outermost shell and the presence of 8 electrons making them as chemically inactive. Okay, so based on this observation, so as the noble gases are chemically inactive, okay, it gave a path for the Lewis and Cosell to propose the electronic theory of valency or ETV. Okay, what does this electronic theory of valency is going to explain? Okay, that is what we were going to discuss now. Okay, so let us consider some examples. And one more thing they noticed that the chemically inactive, that is inactive is nothing but the noble gases will not participate in any chemical bonds as they are chemically inactive. But apart from the noble gases, the remaining all elements does not have 8 electrons in the outermost shell and they are chemically active. That is nothing but the chemically active elements does not have octet. Okay, does not have octet in the outermost shell. Okay, vice versa. If the chemically active elements does not have 8 electrons in the outermost shell, or in any atom's outermost shell does not have 8 electrons or octet in its outermost shell, it does not have octet in the outermost shell, they are considered as chemically active. This made that Lewis and Cosell to propose the electronic theory of valency. Okay. Now, if we consider some metals and non-metals, the configuration of metals and non-metals, and the formation of ions, okay, based on the number of electrons which are present in the outermost shell, to form a bond between the two elements and which are possessing the octet, we are going to take some examples. We are going to consider some examples here how it is going to achieve the octet. For example, if I take the sodium configuration. Sodium is a metal, the electronic configuration and the atomic number is 11. If I write the electronic configuration of the sodium, that is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. Okay, if I write it in the Bohr atomic structure, in first shell I have 2 electrons, in the second shell I have 8 electrons, in the third shell I have 1 electron. Okay, that means, and if you present it in a diagrammatical form, diagrammatical form, okay, there are 11 protons, and in the K shell I have 2 electrons, and I have 8 electrons in the second shell, and in the third shell I have only 1 electron, where the outermost shell, the configuration of the sodium shows that the outermost shell electron, the configuration of the sodium, if you observe the configuration of the sodium, the outermost shell electron contains only 1 electron. That confirms that it doesn't have 8 electrons or octet. It does not have 8 electrons or octet in the outermost shell. That's why, or such that, because of that, the sodium is chemically active. It's chemically active, and it has a tendency to bond with certain non-metals or bond with certain elements. The tendency or the not possessing the octet in the outermost shell tends or leads to the sodium to be as a chemically active and enables to bond with certain elements in the remaining 117 elements. Okay. Now what happens when this, suppose for example, this sodium want to bond with some element Y. Okay. At that time, the sodium is going to lose. The sodium is going to lose the electron which is present in the sodium is going to lose the electron which is present in the outermost shell, and as it is losing the electrons or as it is giving the electrons, okay, as it is transferring the electrons or as it is giving up one electron, it is going to form a cation. That is, a sodium after giving one electron is going to form a cation that is being represented by Na plus, and the configuration of the cation Na plus will become as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, where the outermost shell, one electron in the outermost shell is lost or given by the sodium to the element or the other element to which it is going to bond with, and is going to attain octet. It is going to possess the octet and becomes as stable. See, as the noble gases are chemically inactive by possessing the octet in the outermost shell and they become the stable, in the same way the chemically active elements, they will give or sometimes they will take also, depending on the configuration of that. According to the sodium configuration, as sodium has 1 electron, okay, it loses that 1 electron to achieve the octet. By losing 1 electron from the outermost shell, it is going to achieve the octet in the outermost shell and forms as a cation. Okay, this formation of ions, a positive charge particle, is responsible to have a bond with some other opposite charge particles or opposite charged ions. How it is going to happen? Let us discuss. Okay, so sodium configuration is 281, and 1 electron it is going to lose to form a Na plus cation and can achieve 28 octet, a stable configuration. The sodium ion cation is going to possess the octet and a stable configuration. Okay, for example, if I take one more example, that is if I take the magnesium 12, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, where that is 2, 8, and 2 electrons will be present in the outermost shell, where it is going to lose the 2 electrons, Mg plus 2. Okay, 2 electrons in the outermost shell. The 2 electrons are gone. Sodium is going to have, by losing 1 electron, sodium is going to form as Na plus, where magnesium by losing electron it is going to form as Mg plus 2 or Mg2 plus. It's one and the same, not a big issue. Okay, Mg plus 2 or Mg2 plus is one and the same. We can write as Mg plus 2 or Mg2 plus is does not makes any difference. So if you take the aluminium configuration, aluminium it is 13, aluminium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p1. 3s2, 3p1. The outermost shell electron is 3. 2 plus 1 there are 2 plus 1 there are 3 electrons in the outermost shell. So 3 electrons in the outermost shell. So these 3 electrons will be lost. The 3 electrons will be lost by or given by this aluminium to become octet and Al plus 3. Okay, Al plus 3 again it will give as by losing these 3 electrons in the outermost shell, if these 3 electrons from the outermost shell, it is going to possess the octet rule, 2-8 octet rule, the nearby noble gas configuration, that is 2-8. This is the nearby noble gas configuration, neon configuration, where it is possessing the octet atomic number 10, neon configuration. So it is going to form again as a cation, Al plus 3 or Al 3 plus. It's going to form as a cation. Okay. Now if I talk about atomic number 14. See, about atomic number 14 we have a very good explanation later when we talk about covalent bond. We will discuss about that. Now atomic number 15, phosphorus. Okay, I am talking to atomic number 15, phosphorus. If you discuss the phosphorus configuration, okay. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3p, 3p3, 2, that is 3p3. The outermost shell electrons are 5. 2, 8, 5. So there are 5 electrons in the outermost shell. So instead of losing 5 electrons to possess, instead of losing 5 electrons to attain the octet in the outermost shell, that is easy if you take 3 electrons. Okay, accepting the 3 electrons is easy than losing the 5 electrons. The comparison, when we compare the tendency of losing or when we compare the tendency of accepting, instead of losing 5 electrons, whereas is a tough task, whereas comparing to the gaining of 3 electrons from nearby order. So the phosphorus is going to accept, as it is a shortage of 3 electrons, as a shortage of 3 electrons to possess the octet in the outermost shell, it is going to so there are 5 electrons here in the outermost shell. 3 electrons are shortage in the outermost shell to obtain the octet. It is going to obtain the 3 electrons from the other element, nearby element, to which it is going to bond and forms as an anion. Okay, so 3 electrons, by accepting 3 electrons, it will become as phosphorus minus 3 or P3 minus and forms as 3 electrons are accepted and being given in the outermost shell, electrons are given in the outermost shell. The electron configuration is 288. It is going to become as 288, where it is the nearby configuration of argon 18. Simple. The concept of Lewis or the concept of Kossel is that the chemically inactive elements, that is chemically inactive elements, which are the chemically inactive elements? Which are not having 8 electrons, octet in the outermost shell, are responsible or have the ability to have a chemical bond among them. Okay, and to possess that bond, and to have that 8 electrons in the outermost shell, certain elements are going to lose the electrons or give the electrons, and certain elements are going to accept the electron to possess this octet and to become stable. That's it. Okay, either by accepting the electrons, the shortage electrons, they are going to get to achieve the octet configuration. Either by losing the electrons, they are going to achieve the octet to have the chemical stable state. Okay, this is what the observation by Lewis and Cosell which made them to propose the electronic theory of valency. And this electronic theory of valency consists of two type of bonds, that is ionic bond and a covalent bond. So what is the difference between ionic bond and covalent bond? Before talking about the ionic bond and covalent bond, let us discuss one more example. Suppose if I talk about one more example that we consist of. So atomic number 16 is sulfur. Atomic number 16 is sulfur. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p4. See, up to is 10, 12 and 4, 3p4. The outermost shell electron consists of 6 electrons. The outermost shell electrons are 6 electrons for the sulfur. Now, see how many electrons are shortage to become octet for the sulfur. Obviously, as it contains of 6 electrons, 2 electrons are short. Okay, that sulfur is going to accept the 2 electrons from the other elements from which it is going to bond. So it accepts the 2 electrons and becomes as octet, possesses the octet configuration. So by accepting, so phosphorus is going to -3 or P3 minus, whereas sulfur, if you take the sulfur configuration, it will be S minus 2. Sulfur will be 2 electrons are short. Okay, so accepting, don't think that accepting is plus. Okay, as 3 electrons are shortage, so we are writing -3. As here in the configuration of cations, as 1 electron is more, we are writing plus. That is given. It has sodium has the ability to give 1 electron because 1 electron is more. Okay, that is plus. 1 electron is additional than the required octet. So it is being given as. So don't think that giving is minus, as it is losing that is minus, or as it is accepting it is plus. Don't get confused. Okay. Here as it is shortage of 2 electrons, we are writing -2. To have the octet in the outermost configuration, sulfur has 6 electrons and 2 electrons are shortage. So S -2. So if by accepting S 2 electrons, the configuration of the sulfur will become as 288, and where the configuration is stable, as it is possessing the 8 electrons in the outermost shell, it will become as stable configuration. Okay. Now sulfur is -2 or 2 minus, whereas chlorine, if we talk about chlorine, Cl that is 17, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5, there are 7 electrons in the outermost shell. So 7 electrons in the outermost shell, that is chlorine requires only 1 electron to possess the octet in the outermost shell. So chlorine will be Cl minus. Okay, chlorine will be Cl minus. After accepting 1 electron from the nearby element which is going to bond with, so chlorine will possess the octet 288, Cl minus. Okay, Cl minus will have, after bonding, Cl minus will have the octet. That is, the elements or the noble gases based on the configuration, by or depending on the configuration or based on the configuration, they themselves they are possessing the octet and they are chemically inactive. Okay, there is a very least possibility of having the bond between some other elements to form a compound or a molecule, whereas the elements which does not have the octet in the outermost shell tends to bond with some other elements, whereas opposite charged elements, and to form a molecule. Okay, that means metals, that means all metals, sodium is a metal, magnesium is a metal and aluminum is a metal. Metals have the tendency of losing the electrons. Okay, metals have the tendency of losing the electrons, whereas phosphorus, sulfur and chlorine, whereas non-metals have the tendency of accepting the electron, and these are the cations. The positively charged ions we call as cations, and the negatively charged, and mostly the cations are formed by the metals, and the negatively charged particles we are calling as anions. And most of the anions are formed by the non-metals, and there exists as the ability of sodium to give 1 electron and as the chlorine has the ability to accept one electron, this makes the possibility of two different charges. A cation, a positively charged ion, and an anion, a negatively charged ion, and there exists an electrostatic force. Kozal and Lewis explained that due to the formation of cation Na plus, okay, due to the formation of Cl minus at a positively charged ion, okay, and negatively charged. Okay, negatively charged ion, they are going to have a force of electrostatic force of attraction. Force of attraction to form a molecule. To form due to the opposite charges. They attract each other, and there exists an electrostatic force which makes these two ions to bond together and form a molecule called NaCl, sodium chloride. Okay, that is what is the explanation. And if you see the configuration of sodium, this is going to possess octet, and if you see the configuration of the chlorine, by accepting the electron by the sodium, okay, it is also going to possess the octet. Of course, there are some exemptions. This theory is, even though certain elements, even though the Lewis and Kozal explained that the elements which are chemically active, which does not have octet in the outermost shell, are going to form two different charges, and there exists electrostatic force to have the bond and forms a molecule. This is the main explanation. This is the main agenda of electronic theory of valency. Okay, but certain elements, even though they are not possessing the octet, they have the possibility of existence of the bond to form a molecule. That means they will be considered as an exception case. There will be some exception for this theory. Okay, the exception is that even though certain elements are not going to possess octet after bonding also, they are going to form a molecule or a compound. They are considered some exceptions. Okay. I hope the main agenda of electronic theory of valency you understood. Simple, that is, chemically active elements that tends to lose the electrons or that tends to accept the electrons to possess the octet and forms certain charged ions, and due to the formation of charged ions, the opposite charged ions are going to have an electrostatic force, and that electrostatic force makes that atoms or the ions of two different elements to be together, and that is responsible for having a bond, a chemical bond between the two elements, and gives a compound or a molecule. Okay. This is about the electronic theory of valency. A glance summary about electronic theory of valency. We have two type of, there are so many explanations or so many type of bonds available, but according to the electronic theory of valency, which is being proposed by Lewis and Kozal, we have two type of bonds. That is, one is ionic bond. The other one is covalent bond. So under the electronic theory of valency, we have an ionic bond and we have a covalent bond. Okay, in the next session we will talk about what is meant by ionic bond and what is meant by covalent bond, and what is the main difference between ionic bond and covalent bond. We will discuss in our next session, that is part 4. We will talk about simple electronic theory of valency, discuss about attaining the octet. Okay, attaining the octet either by losing the losing the electrons, or by the accepting the electrons to form two different charged ions, and the formation of two different charged ions are responsible to be together by the electrostatic force. Okay, see octet rule. Octet rule is containing, if you discuss about the octet rule, if you summarize the octet rule, that is possessing the 8 electrons in the outermost shell is the octet rule. Simple. Containing 8 electrons we call as octet. Octet rule. So octet rule is simple that if any element have the 8 electrons except helium, all noble gases will obey the octet rule. That means they have the 8 electrons in the outermost shell or valence electrons. Okay. This is a small summary about, small revision about this today's session. We will discuss in the part 4 to talk about, we will meet in the part 4 to talk about ionic bond and covalent bond. Thank you, and please subscribe our channel. Have a nice day. Keep smiling. Bye bye.